Welcome everybody to the Consortium of Universities for Global Health webinar on CUGH, our activities. And this is a member feedback opportunity for you to give us your ideas on what we should be doing, our activities for the future, and how we can be a better organization to serve your needs. Today, I'm joined by the chair of our board, Dr. Kurth, the Dean of Nursing at Yale University, and I'm going to turn it over to her while she does the first half of this webinar. I'll do the last half, and then we're going to open it up for questions and input from you, and we'll take those questions at the end. So get ready to put them together now, and we look forward to them at the end. So Anne, over to you.
Well, welcome. Thank you, Keith. It's a pleasure that you all have taken the time to come together in this virtual gathering where we can hear your thoughts, give you an overview, and then close out with some conversation, as Keith noted. So just to begin, we really wanted to put front and center with our first slide, the mission statement of this organization. What is it that CUGH is about, you might ask? And it's really about unleashing the power of universities to improve population health everywhere in the world. Universities exist in every country, and we are all part of a group that is able to draw from the rich history of universities to make an impact on urgent and timely considerations in global health. So the organization in the last year or so, I'm happy to report, did a little refresh of the mission statement of the organization. So if you go to the website, where I hope you have gone or can go, and Keith will tell you more about it, but this is now our current definition, which is about supporting academic institutions and our partners to improve the well-being of people and the planet. So that is really a new piece. Through what? Education, research, service, and advocacy. All of those elements are what we strive as an organization and as your member organization to do to support the work that you all engage in at the university level. And again, the vision here is really about supporting the university as a transformative force, which we believe it is and can be. Next, please. We also have engaged in the last year or two on the board, the all-volunteer board, along with the Secretariat, our small but mighty Secretariat based in Washington, D.C., to outline strategic goals for the organization, to have a bit of a blueprint so that we can really tie our activities to what we feel are the most important areas for the organization to engage in along with you. So those fall under these four main areas, as you see here. Certainly advocacy. Each of us as citizens has the opportunity to advocate. As university citizens also has the opportunity to engage in calling out for the support of universities to do the work that we all feel is important, and to be able to speak to policymakers and stakeholders around the world around the importance of global health work. So for our strategic goals under advocacy, we want to be able to advocate for the programs that you all design and deliver in your own universities and with partners around the world, and be able to push for more resources for that work. We also want to focus on key policy changes, both proactively around things that we feel are important to getting this work done, as well as being reactive when there are policy changes that are not supportive of population health or global health work. And we want to support each of our members' advocacy capabilities within the university structure, within the locale where you may be existing, and again, across the whole of our membership network, including engaging students. And Keith will tell you more about the different ways in which students can get engaged. So those are some advocacy goals. Under education, which of course is primary to what we all do in universities, pedagogy is paramount. We want to strengthen the support that is provided to those of you who are doing global health curriculum, which may be at the undergraduate level, it may be at the graduate level, it may be certificates in different formats, but we want to support that programming work and also engage in some mentorship and exchanges between institutions around educational programming. It is certainly a key goal, even though CUGH began in North America originally. The goal is certainly to be as representative and as engaged across high, middle, and low-income countries as is possible and feasible. And we really want to be able to support together the educational work that is conducted so well in low and middle-income countries. In terms of research, science is obviously a key part of what universities do. It's how we contribute to the improvement of health as well as economies everywhere in the world. So we want to work on strengthening the research capabilities and exchange of research and scientific programming and outcomes across the CUGH membership network. And we can do this in a number of ways, one of which is a knowledge hub, which you can see on the website, and listing the sort of research questions that may be germane to the work that you all do, and see if we can make a match around answering some of those key research questions that are driven locally. Finally, as a membership association, we obviously need to ensure that we are delivering something that is meaningful to you. This is a time of constrained budgets. We all have many competing priorities. And so the ability to pay the CUGH membership, which of course is a sliding fee scale, or to do an individual level membership needs to carry with it the delivery of work and outcomes that is helpful to you as a global health expert. So we want to ensure that we're identifying member needs. We do an annual survey and check in as we will do at the end of this call with any ideas around how we can improve membership service. Of course, as any nonprofit knows, sustaining the fiscal responsibility and also survivability of a nonprofit is important to do. So we want to focus on the financial health of the organization, and we want to really grow as well as retain our members, both institutional and individual memberships, across disciplines and across sectors. So this has always been a key part of the CUGH belief system and philosophy, which is that there is no one single discipline that can answer all the questions that are needed, nor really can the health sector alone do the work that's needed. So we really want to make sure that CUGH is engaged across disciplines and even across sectors. Next, please. The structure, just so you know, as a nonprofit that was incorporated in the United States, we have a 15-member board of directors. And I would just encourage those of you who may be thinking about running for the board, please do think about that. Also think about nominating colleagues that you think would be great to have on the CUGH board. Again, remembering that we want to cross disciplines as well as regions and countries of the world. And just so you're aware, the nomination process for the CUGH board elections usually happens around June, July, August. So look for that. We communicate on the website, through emails, and through our newsletter, and think about that position. It is a volunteer position. We do work our board, but it is an opportunity to participate in the direction of the university. We also have ex officio representatives on the board, and this has been very helpful. Again, that idea of not just universities, but the partners on whom we all rely to get the work done. Current ex officio members include from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institutes of Health, USAID, the World Federation of Academics in Global Health, CCUGH, which is the China Consortium of Universities for Global Health, Lancet, the Global Health Journal editor, and the CUGH Executive Director, who of course is Dr. Keith Martin. The Secretariat, as I mentioned, we are quite lean in our operations, and we do have office space in Washington, D.C., so consider reaching out when you're in town. We do actually have some sponsored happy hours every now and again in Washington, D.C., for those of you who may be around at different times for that. But the Secretariat itself is led by Dr. Keith Martin, from whom you'll hear in a moment, Dalal Najir, who is our Deputy Director. Karen Lamb manages our program and conference event. We have USAID STAR program that we'll mention, which Kimberly Burstein is on. The CDC Fellows officer is Marissa Chan. Our program assistant, Arissa Koyama, and then Administration and Communications Director Stephanie Natoli. So it's a small group, but all working very hard on your behalf. Next, please. The board of directors, as mentioned, volunteer position. There are rotating cycles of membership, and so when people rotate off, we were then able to fill some of those board positions. So as you see here, a range of colleagues in terms of disciplines, universities, including in Canada and in Beirut. Again, the goal is to have a good representation, and there you see the ex officio current members as well. Next, please. We do much of the work of this nonprofit through the committee structure. So again, I would encourage those of you who have an interest or a background in some of these key areas of work that our committees engage in to consider getting involved with the committees. And we usually do an open call for committee membership as members rotate off and new positions open up. So there is an open call for the committee and subcommittee opportunities, generally in, again, June, July, August. So look for that opportunity. But we have standing committees, including advocacy and communications, the education committee, which also has a number of subcommittees, which I'll show you in a moment. Global Health Operations Committee, which is the work of doing global health engagement. The Executive Committee, which is a subset of the board. The Finance Committee, which of course is charged with ensuring the budget is sound. The Membership Committee, and the Research Committee. Next, please. I mentioned the CUGH Education Committee has a number of subcommittees. This is a very, very engaged group of folks doing a lot of work in a lot of areas. The subcommittees that you see there are around capacity building, and the idea here is that we will have an actual sort of portal eventually on the website that we can really make matches between universities that want to engage in capacity building projects together. The Educational Products Subcommittee has also been extremely active. There's a Toolkit 2.0 out on the website now. Tremendous number of resources for those of you who are doing curriculum or looking for program materials. It's a wonderful and up-to-date resource that you should download and take a look at if you have not already. The Global Health Competency Committee is looking at metrics. What do we mean by global health skills? And metrics of accomplishment. So that group, and of course we have published on this in the past, but that group continues its work. The Program Advisory Service Subcommittee, the Workforce Subcommittee, and then Undergraduate and Master's Subcommittee. We have defined competencies around graduate global health education, and we're now in the process of doing the same for undergraduate global health. Masters or majors and minors. Finally, there's the Trainee Advisory Committee. So all of these are described in detail on the website. Take a look, see if there's work that you think you could contribute to. Next, please. So how is the organization actually funded? Just to let you know, again, it is a not-for-profit. And really, we, again, as a membership-driven organization, much of our funding is dependent on membership, both the institutional, university level and individual level. We do, of course, have an annual conference, and you'll hear more about that from Dr. Martin. And that is a major source of both expenditure and income for us. We have various workshops that we generally look to at least clear the cost of providing to you as a service. And we do receive grants. We are pretty constantly looking for grants, both on behalf of CUGH or as a subcontractor under other people's grants, and you'll hear about some of those that we have been growing in our grant success rate lately. Individual donations, of course, are always welcome, and we are especially looking for that at the end of this the calendar year, which is when elicitations often are made. So please do consider, if you're able to give even a small donation, you can target that towards a use like helping to underwrite an LMIC attendee to come to the conference. And finally, the website is there as you see it. In terms of the growth of the organization, we have seen steady growth, and this is a tribute really to the work of the Secretariat, but also to all of you who are making the time to make the case for the membership fee to have your university or college engaged in CUGH. We've had growth, as you see here, from 2017 to 2018. We've gone from 163 institutional members to 177. And then again, this is around the world. Individual membership, which is a fairly recent addition, we have seen some growth there as well. And this is certainly one of our strategic goals, is to both grow and retain our wonderful members. In terms of the distribution of high-income country members versus low and middle-income country members, it's as you see it there, membership in over 30 countries now and growing. Next, please. So without getting into the weeds of the details about the budget specifics, just to sort of show you the trends in general, we began as an organization with funding from both Rockefeller and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We obviously now have got to move towards a more self-sustaining model, and the revenue sources we'll look at in a moment. But I'm happy to report that actually this year we just approved the first surplus operating budget. And we did have a surplus both in 2017 and in 2018. So looking for fiscal health. Next, please. The sources of revenue, again, primarily membership, the annual conference, and now increasingly grants and some other sources. Next, please. So what do you get for making the case for the hard-won cash that we all have to allocate across the work we do at universities to make the case that it's important and helpful to be part of CUGH? Certainly, the institutional membership, one institutional membership allows everyone in the university engaged in global health to be part of and partake in the CUGH benefits. It's obviously a ready-made network, the 177 member institutions. Please take a look on the website. They're fabulous institutions around the world. So again, a ready-made network to engage with. There are some elements and benefits that are only accessible if you are a CUGH member, and that includes job listings, grant opportunities, other trainings that are only accessible when one has a membership. You do get a discount for being a member when you attend the annual conference, the annual meeting, webinars, and workshops where those have fees. So that can be advantageous and sometimes even pay for itself. And of course, we have our members who actually plan the annual conference. So being an institutional member allows the contribution to planning the CUGH annual meeting, engaging in advocacy. And of course, we all need advocacy these days to make the case for global health and to continue to make that case. Participation in the committees and working groups, as I mentioned, and then mentoring opportunities from some of the various committees and products that CUGH has created. You do actually, you are able, once you're a member, to put the CUGH seal on your institution's website and stationery. And each institutional member, of course, contributes a vote to the elections and to be able to run for the board. And of course, one of the key things is our website then shows the members and links to your existing programs in education, degree offerings, research. So it is a way for the outside world to see all the incredible work that you do as an institutional member. So next, please. So I think I'm finished with my section, and I will now turn over to Dr. Keith Martin, our Executive Director.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kurth. And this is a very nice segue into my part of the talk. And before I get into that, I just want to remind everybody, please take a look at the section that has questions, and please feel free to fire those questions along to you now. And Dr. Kurth and I will answer those questions after I finish this part of the webinar. I think this is a very important segue into benefits. One of the questions people arise is actually, who is a member? A good thing about joining is that when an institution joins CUGH, every student, every faculty person, every administrator with a .edu email is also a member. And so everybody in an institution, if you have 10,000, 20, or 50,000 people in your school, university, they're all members of CUGH. So it's a pretty good deal if you parse it out that way. And everybody in that in your university can actually sign up for the benefits and access the benefits that Dr. Kurth mentioned. I'm going to mention a few other ones. If you look at our website at cugh.org, what we've done is we want to showcase your work, and we want to do our best to be able to share it widely around the world. And one of the things we've done is in 2 places on our website is put up our members' logos, and on there, when you click on them, you'll have a chance to see the programs that they have. So only members can actually post on there to be a member, but everybody can see it. So it's a great chance to be a member and share your work. The other thing is our educational products, reports, and events. All of those are on there again, open access. In our member center, you'll have a members only section for jobs and funding opportunities. We try our best to make sure as much as possible is open access, but obviously we have to find some way of making sure that there are benefits accruing to members only. And that's one of the things that if you click on there, sign up with your individual login, then you'll be able to see jobs and funding opportunities. We also have a Speakers Bureau, and the Speakers Bureau, while it's open access for all to see, only members can actually access those speakers. So you have to go on and again on the website to see them. And these are individuals who are experts in their field. Our research committee has vetted them. And it's a way, if you're having a conference, if you need a speaker with a particular skill set, you can go on to that site and you can identify those speakers if you wish, and that's a member's benefit. We also have interest groups and discussion forums that members can participate in, and it's a great opportunity for people with a specific area of interest. For example, oral health. We have a wonderful oral health interest group that's led by a fabulous dentist at Harvard, Dr. Brittany Seymour. She leads that interest group for us, and so there's an interest group on there, and the purpose again is to connect and find a place and create a space for people who have an interest, in this case oral health, to come together to share knowledge, discuss activities, and essentially collaborate in that important area. We have an events page that members can post, and this is important because when you have events as a CUGH member, you want to share them with as wide a group as possible. So on the events page, you can go ahead and post your conferences, your events, your special activities on there. Capacity building platform, as Dr. Kurth mentioned, obviously one of the great challenges of global health is how do we work together to be able to strengthen institutions who are needing some training and needing some assistance that they seek out. So we wanted to create a platform which is nearly finished, and that platform will enable institutions with specific training needs to be able to share those with the world. And so prospective collaborators can actually engage with those institutions directly to be able to work on an arrangement that will help to deal with one of the compelling global health challenges of our time, which is the massive human resources deficit that we see across both biomedical and medical fields. So it's a very exciting initiative. So look forward to 2019 to that coming alive. We also wanted to create a mechanism to align research questions with needs of communities, governments, institutions, and NGOs, and how can we connect the academic community with those research needs. So what we did on our site is we created a place where people can post their research questions, and what we hope will happen is that young master's students, PhD candidates, and others can actually look at those and do research that's actually required by other organizations, by NGOs, by prospective employers. And this way we're aligning different sectors around the research umbrella. And lastly, anybody can sign up for our monthly bulletin. So if you haven't done it, please do go on our website and sign up for our monthly bulletin, where you'll receive an array of important events, activities, reports, opportunities that are happening in global health. Next slide, please. We have an annual conference, as Dr. Kurth mentioned. It continues to grow every year. This year it was in New York. Next year it'll be in Chicago, Illinois. March 7th, is a satellite day. Now that satellite day is important because we created half or full day sessions so that different groups can come together to collaborate, to share knowledge, and to be able to partner around big challenges. So for example, with the National Cancer Institute of NIH, we have worked with them for 6 years to run a global cancer day and broaden regional cancer institutions around the big challenge of dealing with global cancer. Next year we'll have an array of other sessions. We have about 11 of them in total, and we'll have new ones in child health, in mental health, and then we'll continue with our sessions on global surgery, again cancer, a nursing session, women's health, and one with AfriHealth, the African Forum for Research and Education and Health, including others. So stay tuned and take a look at our website, and you'll see what those satellite sessions are. You have to register for them, but we get about 1,000 people out for them. I should also share that with you that, as Dr. Kurth mentioned, our committees also hold important research and education satellite sessions on that day, which are very well attended. That on the 8th to the 10th is our larger conference. We'll have 1,800 plus people from 55 countries. It's really become a go-to event in the global health community, and please come and attend that. You'll find it invigorating, inspiring, and some people find quite transformative. You'll meet a lot of people, but also acquire a lot of skill sets that you can take back to your institution. The next ones will be again in 2020 in Washington, D.C., and 2021 in Houston. 2022 will be in Los Angeles, California. So you see, we try to prepare well in advance so you know when these events are taking place. But please share this across both your biomedical and non-biomedical disciplines across your institutions. If I may say, one of the big challenges I think we all have in global health is how do we connect to our non-biomedical colleagues in those disciplines that are actually involved in global health. But at CUGH, we're trying to build bridges between them. Our conference is a great place for folks to come together to do that. And I'll share with you a couple of those efforts in a little bit. Next slide, please. So this is our annual conference, as I mentioned before. You can see more about it at CUGH2019.org, including our program. So there's a very good description that Karen Lam has put together, who's our manager for the conference and events, on there, and you'll see a number of the speakers, events, activities taking place. Next slide, please. We have a number of awards and competitions, and those have grown over the year. We, of course, have our annual CUGH awards, which are our leading awards. We also have the Anvar and Parvi Belgi Awards that Dr. Belgi and his wife Parvi have been so kind to sponsor these awards over the years. We partnered, and this is also exciting, with Johns Hopkins Global Health Now and National Public Radio. And we run a very interesting competition on neglected stories in global health. We have 2 winners and 3, actually 6 honorable mentions. And it is a fascinating collection of stories that you've probably never heard about, but we try to bring forward into CUGH's realm. And this is a very effective way of doing it. NPR and Global Health Now each do a full-length story on each of those 2 winners. We also have a Global Health video competition, and one of the things we wanted to do at CUGH is how can we create platforms and mechanisms for you to be able to share your work in a way that not only is informative, but also can affect people emotionally, and not only be useful to policymakers, but importantly to the public too, because we know that part of the challenge in what we do is how do we bridge the gap between what we do in academia and the public. So as a way to do that, we're using visual means, and our Global Health Video Competition is a way to do that. Lastly, much thanks to Child Family Health International, Loyola, and the University of Pittsburgh. They have sponsored this wonderful reflections essay contest, and Dr. Jessica Evert from CFHI and the folks at Loyola and the University of Pittsburgh have actually compiled that and put it together in a wonderful and inspiring book. Next slide, please. Advocacy communications, as Dr. Kurth mentioned, it's very good and wonderful that we're producing the knowledge we do and the education and the service activities that we do in academia. But I think we all aspire to and want to make sure that this wonderful body of knowledge that's produced is actually going to affect public policy. At CUGH, we do this by engaging with people in policymakers, but also with the public. We do this through our monthly bulletin, as I mentioned before. And I'm very excited to share with you, and with great thanks to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is that they're going to fund a 2-year externship here at CUGH, which will start later this month. And we'll have a person here for 2 years who will work with us to be able to work with you and government relations representatives to be able to share with policymakers both at the federal level and at the state level about your needs and why there should be strong investment and leadership by the United States in global health. The other half of this, of course, is engaging with the public. So much thanks to the Foundation for their support for this activity. We will also be holding, as we have in the past, Global Health Day in the U.S. Congress. That will start again in 2019. We run webinars every year. You can see those webinars on our website because we do keep them on our website for you to see, and you can use and share them. Like this website, this webinar will also be on our website to share. With great gratitude to the Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting, we run a communications workshop at our conference every year, and they bring in journalist scientists to teach our colleagues and attendees about how we can be better communicators both to the public and to policymakers. It's a must-see event and a much-attended event, and it's free to attend, by the way. Also, with the Lancet, one of our great board members, Zoe Mullen, who's the editor of the Lancet Global Health, she runs and has run an academic writing workshop to be able to hone attendees' skills in being better writers for manuscripts. And lastly, we have a Stories from the Field on YouTube. This is a way for you, our researchers in the field, to tell your stories through visual means about what you're doing. Next slide, please. Student activities. Students are very important at CUGH in what we do, and we endeavor to ensure that students are integral to what we do, why we do it, and in the power structures of CUGH. So on our board, we have Maria Modil, who is the student representative of our trainee advisory committee, and they put together a student-led global health day. And that'll be on that satellite day I mentioned before at our conference. And they also run a session during the conference. Our committees all have representatives from students on all of them. And on advocacy issues, we engage students because we want to know at CUGH what you're thinking, what we as an organization can do to support students' needs and activities. So our students do this through something called the Campus Representative Program. I'm happy to say this has grown fantastically over the last year and a half, and we now have 75 members in campuses across the United States, but we're wanting to get other campuses around the world to also be representative in this. That Campus Representative Program, along with the Trainee Advisory Committee, provide us with advocacy issues important to students, like how to address student debt. And one that's going to be coming up at our conference next year is going to be on how to reduce gun violence, a very important issue around the world and also here in the United States. Next slide, please. Engagement with low and middle income countries. If we're in global health, we absolutely, of course, have to have LMIC representatives, again, at the heart of what we do, to guide, work with us, collaborate with us on making sure that what we're doing as an organization are going to be relevant and useful to our colleagues in LMICs. So we've done it in a few ways. One is working with the African Forum for Research and Education in Health. That is a 40-institutional consortium of 40 institutions on the continent of Africa. Marika de Villiers from Stellenbosch is the chair of that, and she co-chairs a working group we have with the chair of our education committee, Dr. Quinton Eichbaum. And so together with this group, have come up with 3 focused areas, possibly 4, that we are working together on. And this happened at the AfriHealth annual meeting in Durban. So at that meeting, when we came together, the 4 issues were strengthening research, strengthening education, student exchanges, and probably advocacy too. So those will be the 4 areas our AfriHealth CUGH working group is going to engage in, and that's a mechanism for us to collaborate with and work with our colleagues on the continent. We also have LMIC representation on CUGH's conference planning. This year in New York, it was Stellenbosch University in South Africa. Next year, we have a Latin American institution, Cautena Herrera in Peru, and Dr. Patty Garcia is on our executive planning committee for that. We've also done various training opportunities. Again, Zoe Mullen, the editor of the Lancet Global Health, ran a session at our conference and webinars on not only how to write for journals, but also, importantly, how to get published. And again, in order to try to overcome the financial obstacles of getting to our meetings, we have an LMIC bursary program, travel bursary program, and we provide a travel bursary for LMIC presenters who are coming to our conference and are presenting. They don't have to be members to do this, but they do have to apply. Right now, we are soliciting funds for that particular bursary, so you can go on our website if you can. You get a tax break because we're a 501c3 organization, but please consider donating to CUGH for our LMIC travel bursary program. All of your money, 100% of it, goes into this program, and all of it goes into support some LMIC presenters that are coming to our conference. We also have Encourage an HIC low-income country membership sponsorship program. If you have a low-income country institution that you're working with, please do consider sponsoring them to be a member of CUGH. Next slide, please. So new initiatives, and we've had a very successful year and a half, I think. The Public Health Institute has been a wonderful partner with CUGH. They're the prime on 2 programs that, on a program that we're running with them, on 2 programs, sorry. The first is a USAID funded STAR program. This will train 50 global health fellows and 80 interns a year, and that program will go on for 5 years. The purpose of that is to strengthen global health leaders, and also half of them will be in North America, but half of them will be in low to middle income countries. So it's a very it's an excellent opportunity to strengthen global health skill sets around the world. The other one, again, with PHI that CUGH is a sub on, is the CDC Global Health Fellows Training Program. This is a training program to help to train U.S. public health experts, and that program is going on. Again, it's a 5-year program. I mentioned the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Engagement Initiative, and the Dr. Tom Hall, who was a wonderful friend and supporter of CUGH for many years, passed away sadly after a lengthy illness, but he was very generous in providing some funds for us, and we're applying those funds for a small grants education program that we ran before, thanks to him. That will start up in the new year, so stay tuned for it. It's not ready yet, but we will let everybody know when that small grants program is going to start up again, and we'll have funds for it for about at least 5 to 6 years. Lastly on this slide, collaborating with CUGH members, we're happy to announce that with one of our partners and board member, American University of Beirut, AUB and CUGH ran a global health forum in Beirut this month. It was a very exciting initial forum, and much thanks to AUB for taking the leadership on that. And we hope to be able to continue working with them and others on having regional global health sessions led by a member in that particular area that CUGH would come in a supportive capacity. So if you're in Latin America, Europe, South Asia, China, Africa, please also consider running such a program forum for us, because it will be a lot easier for folks in the region to come to that. So look forward to collaborating with prospective members on such an effort. Next slide, please. All right. We're almost at the end now of these slides. So the members, what we like to do is to be able to ensure that we're servicing your needs. So we have a few questions here that we always like to ask of you, and feel free at any time to be able to provide us with your guidance on what activities and products would be of value to your membership. What should we do or not do? How can we increase engagement across your campus so we get not only the biomedical, but also the non-biomedical disciplines? And we really encourage our members now to reach out to those colleagues who really may not be part of the global health work we're doing now. Also, to understand what undergraduate and graduate global health programs you have, please let us know and share that information with us. And you can share it with us at info@cugh.org. So anytime, please feel free to share that information. We will input it and make that available for everyone to see. Next slide, please. So how to join? If you are not a member, please join. We have, since we opened up our secretariat here in Washington in September 2012, CUGH has tripled in size. We're now the world's largest consortium of academic-based institutions and other organizations involved, including a few NGOs and other associations, like the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges, ASPHER, which is the Public Health Institutions of Europe, ASPPH, which are the Public Health Institutions in North America, and we're engaging with other organizations. Again, I mentioned AfriHealth and others. So if you're not a member and your institution wants to join, please look at our website and consider joining. As Dr. Kurth mentioned, we have a sliding scale. So from high, upper middle, low middle, and low income countries, the fees actually drop by 50% on each tranche. And if your institution is not a member, but you're involved in global health anywhere, you can join CUGH. It's not expensive to join, and you get a lot of benefits. Next slide, please. So I think that's actually it. We're going to keep it on that slide for now, and we look forward to your questions. And I think you've sent some through. And what I'll do is I'm going to share some of these with Dr. Kurth, and we're going to together answer some of these questions. So I'd like to just ask the question here on the part of Dashka. Is there an interest to develop an open education approach and resources for global health through a collaborative approach? Dr. Kurth, would you like to take that?
Thanks, that's a great question. And of course, the world is moving into a space where information wants to be free, and where curriculum and ability to gain skills and even badges or degrees or certificates is happening in a number of experiments and organizations that are engaging in open source education. So it's certainly something that we can explore. Some of our members already are offering such things, including accredited online free masters in public health, for example. And so given that we have connections through so many of our member universities who are engaging in curricula now, it is something we could think of helping to facilitate if there is interest. Certainly the toolkit that I mentioned is already making available a large number of pedagogical resources on the website that people are free to use now. So that is an available resource at the moment.
Thank you, Anne. So this question comes from Nick Condrati, and Nick is currently the president of the World Interdisciplinary Forum for Healthcare, a student-driven organization working to link students about local and global health and well-being. So, Nick, you have a couple of questions, and so what are some of the examples of local student initiatives that CUGH is supporting? And you're developing an approach to global health and want to know more about it. So, Nick, the first thing is, please email us with your email, and what we'll do is we'll connect you to the chair of our student group, Maria, and I think that'll be an important first step to engage with her and the TAC. The second thing is to be able to, with regard to the question you have about local student initiatives, I think, as I mentioned before, the student-led Global Health Day, half day that occurs at our conference, also the student-led session that's devoted to them by and for students. They can choose what they want to do within the umbrella of the conference theme. We have the two training programs I mentioned, the START program that PHI leads. There'll be 80 internships in that program every year. So that's a pretty big deal. 40 from the United States, 40 from low to middle income countries. And then the second part of that is the Centers for Disease Control, which is also on CUGH's board. They're running a program to strengthen global health, public health skill sets. And so that's another opportunity for students to get involved. And again, through our TAC, they're broadening their work, including their advocacy work. So that's a great chance for us to work together and with your members and ours in common cause. So the next question I have here will be concerning, I'll move this down here a bit. Okay, just getting this. Sorry. Let's check this question here. There's a question about how to establish, and Dr. Kurth, this is for you, I might chime in after this, but establishing an advocacy track, or at least a session on policy advocacy. I can also answer that after you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, certainly, thank you for that. Certainly, we see the importance of educating policymakers, funders, and others, including the general public, about the value and urgency of global health issues and solutions. And so as we mentioned in part here, we have now some grant-funded programming that will allow us to support more of that work. We have the opportunity to work with government representatives, governmental relations representatives at your institutions as well. But we do see that as a part of the role. We certainly join in with other global health organizations to make the case for important topics in global health. And there are opportunities to present on some of these efforts at the conference as well. Keith, if you have more to add.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. I think that, as I mentioned before, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation advocacy position that we will have later on this next month, should I say, that's going to be a very, very important asset that we've never had before. I mean, essentially, CUGH's human resources footprint has stayed the same for the activities that we've been doing since we opened up here 6 years ago. So it's still 4 people. But having this other person on board is going to give us a whole new ability to engage with government relation reps, engage with students, engage with faculty, to be able to assert advocacy and communications in global health with both policymakers at a federal and state level, I might say, and the public. A following question comes to us with regard to advertising channels and whether CUGH has a way to promote new global health graduate certificate programs. And this comes from Michael. We have platforms, particularly if you're members. It's a chance to be able to showcase the certificates programs that our members are engaged in. Only members can post those, but everybody's free to see them. And one other thing I just want to remind all of our members is that we really like to showcase and feature one of you at least on our monthly bulletin. So please feel free to share with us a 250, 300 word blurb with links, and we will put that on our bulletin, and that goes to 30,000 people around the world. It's a great chance to do that. Also, if I might add, at our conference, you can actually buy a table, and many of our institutional members and non-members do, to be able to showcase the kind of programs and work your institutions are doing. It's not expensive at all. And again, you can just look at our CUGH2019.org, and you'll look under sponsorship, and there's a way for you to purchase a table and showcase your institution's work with global health leaders coming to Chicago next year. I think in terms of questions, we are now, I think that's it. Those are our questions for now. Dr. Kurth, is there anything else you wanted to add before we close up, because we're approaching the top of the hour?
Sure, thank you, Keith. Just to say, if you have ideas or thoughts, feedback, concerns, suggestions, feel free to share them through the email that's been provided. But I do want to close out by saying thank you for all the work that you do. It wouldn't be possible to engage in global health work without each of you contributing in the way that you do on your campuses and with your partners everywhere around the world. And now is a more critical time than ever that we leverage the power and the contribution of universities to help not only the health of people and other species, but to save the planet itself, given the recent IPCC report. So thank you all for the work you do. Please stay in touch, be engaged, and thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much, and I want to just echo those comments. And again, thank you very much. We're only as good as an organization because of you, and because of your guidance, input, and activities working with us to be able to deal with some of the compelling global health challenges. And Anne just mentioned the recent climate change reports that have come up, and know that our conference with Dr. Jonathan Patz, Dr. Pat Conrad, and others, we're running a session, an entire satellite session on planetary health, One Health, environmental health. And there'll be a plenary on this in the conference, as well as the satellite session. So please come to our conference, come to the satellites, because that's a chance when we roll up our sleeves, we allocate enough time to work together, because the conference is just a moment in time. And we want to use the periods between our conferences to keep building year in and year out on how we can collaborate, to work together, to act for impact. Because if we're not acting, we're just talking, we're not having the impact, and we know that. Finally, I want to just thank my fabulous staff here, Dalal and Karen and Arissa and Stephanie and Marissa and Kim for all the great work you do to support our activities. And Marissa and Kim are involved in, and Arissa are going to be involved in the CDC and CUGH USCID programs that we're running. And Dalal and Karen and Stephanie and I do the other work with our board. So thanks very much for joining this webinar. The webinar will be up on our website to share widely. And again, thank you very much for attending this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you soon.